Hello, folks, and welcome to the Petalburg Woods, where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. Let's talk some Pokemon. As always, I'm one of your delightful hosts, Droomish.
And I'm your other, I suppose, delightful host, Capreo. How you doing? Welcome to the woods. Thanks for joining us.
And we're here, as always, to talk about the wonderful world and universe surrounding the Pokemon games, the way that they make us feel, the way that people and places interact with the games, and it leaves the consoles. But first, before we really get into it today, what you've been doing, Caprio? How's the weather over there, in terms of your activities?
Weather's good. Weather's clear. We got clear skies, no rain, beautiful sunny days in the Kalos region. I have been playing Blueprints, which is decidedly not Pokemon. So I don't know. And in fact, I take back what I said about the weather. The weather has been stormy and rainy and often treacherous in the Pokemon Emerald Battle Tower. I'm having some terrible luck trying to get the level 50 Battle Tower gold symbol. I got the silver symbol, but it is cloudy and terrible in the Emerald Battle Tower. Anyway, hoping for the clouds to part and the sun to shine, so I can finally meet Annabelle and get my final gold symbol, so I can move on to greener pastures and bluer skies.
Okay. Well,
how's the weather?
I stopped. I quit. I quit because of what you're going through.
Well,
I mean, quit. Okay, we'll be back someday, folks. It made me really, really upset.
You had a strategy of going back to Pokemon XD, correct?
It's just so hard.
I forget, were you trying to acquire a new Pokemon or like a TM?
I wanted. Yeah, I mean. All of the above. I want there's like a Super Snorlax build that I was eyeing, and there were a couple of other contenders, like Suicune was on the table, Zapdos was on the table. Just a handful of guys I was gonna have to play through this gigantic game, and I feel like I'm maybe 60-ish% of the way there. I mean, it wasn't super slow going, but this stuff on the Game Boy and GameCube can really suck the soul out of you, doing it the old-fashioned way. I want it's all about the expedition.
Absolutely,
that's what I want.
Yeah. So is that kind of on the back burner for you at this point?
Totally.
Yeah.
I'll come back. I've had some really, I don't know, I got a very sweet message the other day about my Battle Frontier content that made me, I don't know, feel both nostalgic and grateful, and make me want to maybe try again. But I don't know, it's so hard, and it's relentless. It almost makes me want to hate Pokemon. It's like, I don't know, it's almost like when your pet or something, like when your cat is being bad, it's a cat, really, and I mean really, really bad, and it's like, oh my god, I'm gonna freak out on you, but you're a cat, and
and I love you so much.
That's the kind of that's the relationship I have with this, and I'm like,
yeah, you're my precious little bean, and I love you dearly, and you did just break my one-of-a-kind vase or my favorite mug or whatever, or I don't know, maybe you knocked over a cup of water on top of my on top of my PC or whatever, but at the end of the day, You're so adorable. You're safe.
Yes, I'll be back someday.
Yeah. That's the thing. There is no time limit, right?
Well, I guess we'll see. We'll see if I finish.
I guess there is a little bit of like a looming potential time limit depending on if the Pokemon Company finally decides to pull the plug on the functionality to transfer from bank to home. That is kind of the like potential looming elephant in the room in that regard.
I wasn't even thinking about that. I was like thinking, that's an even more horrible thing to think about. I was like, am I gonna get any of these gold symbols before I'm old and gray? Like, yeah, but I guess that's something to worry about now too. I mean, you get them. The gold symbols stay. So like, I'll probably be working on this until days pass.
Mm-hmm.
I've been getting more and more invested in the TCG. I'm just really digging some of these old cards. I feel like I'm having like an art renaissance. It's like the real renaissance, but for Pokemon card art, and I'm blown away. I'm blown away every time. These like specifically, I was like, I don't know, I was I'd say borderline lusting the other day at these like Gen 2 cards that they had at the game store I go to. There was this, and I did get this, so don't worry folks, I got this. It's called like a Southern Island promo of Lediba, and
cool.
I love Lediba. I think Lediba is awesome. And now I'm thinking like I want to get every Ledian card. Nobody respects Ledian enough. But I love it. I think Ledian is fantastic. I've been in a real Ledian era.
Cool.
Thinking and dreaming about Ledian. And then I got a Raikou. A Raikou. I don't know why this is a hard word for me, but a Raikou model at my friend took me to. It's like a bona fide like not like Toys R Us, but like let's call it a hobby store. It's
sure.
like a hobby store. It was awesome. It was so cool. And when I went there, when I got this Raikou model, which I had to build, it was like those little like clacker boards. Not clacker boards. They're like wireframes, and you crack the pieces out of them. Mm-hmm. No glue was required, and the Raikou came out pretty nice. But like while I was there buying it, it was like a club for model train enthusiasts had set up all of their trains in the back, and just I don't know. I love passion. Mm-hmm. It's such a like. I don't know what else to call it, but just like these people who love their little things, mm-hmm. and I love my little things. Like I can get down. What was it like? I think our friend wrote to that Apple guy, and he said, "I love fandom. I'll hang with anybody. Mm-hmm. I love fandom." And I was like, I feel that. Mm-hmm. I felt that. Mm-hmm. I think I've just been loving the atmosphere lately. Is the conclusion of that.
Nice. Yeah, I love getting excited with people, even if it's something that I'm unfamiliar with, if they're excited about their thing. And especially if you don't know anything, they're so excited to like fill you in and like get you in on the joke and like get you into the thing with them. They're like, "Oh, fresh meat," but like not in a weird way. They just want They just want someone else to like share the passion with. Yeah.
They were so excited to show us their trains.
I bet.
We just wandered in there and they're like, "Can we see your trains?" Oh, and he had a little like control tower on his phone that moved the trains, and like,
God, that's so.
But cool. I feel like the really cool thing though was like, I didn't really leave that like. I mean, it was cool. Like I like trains. I was excited about it, and it's like yeah, trains are awesome. Whatever. But like I left that just like. I don't know, like excited about life, but like my own stuff also. I was like, oh, I cannot wait to go home and build this Raikou model. Mm-hmm. Like, look at these guys crafting. Like that could be anything, but that's the dream. What a great time! And now I want to go. I want to go be just a little little excited Raikou enjoyer at home. Oh, what a day it was. Those train guys really boosted my mood.
That's excellent. Sounds like it's pretty sunny in your neck of the woods, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's usually been really rainy, but the atmosphere has been a high. Yeah, the rain has been pretty torrential physically, but I was kind of soaring after I went to the train place.
Nice.
Well, if everything is all right with you, I guess it sounds pretty all right. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this battle tower stuff. It sucks, okay? It sucks, but
we'll get through it.
You'll get through it.
Yeah.
You'll get through it. I'm not gonna do it. I think that's a decent enough, as any, because we got to talk about it at some point. Decent enough segue into our chosen topic for today, because today, folks, we are talking about the ever resilient Pokemon game companion. They're there for you in your biggest moments of want and desire. We are discussing the game guide and its many forms and relationships and conveyances it can have with people. Capreo, tell me, when are you whipping out a guide first and foremost? When's that happening?
I mean, nowadays, like pretty much all the time. Like any time that I play any Pokemon game, I'm constantly looking up moves or like learn sets or where to find a specific item in a game, or countless things, right? I guess also like a pretty specific thing is like for the 7-star raids in Scarlet and Violet, I'll like look up a guide, whether it's like a written article on a website or like a video by someone like Osiris on YouTube.
Sure.
Like how to, because basically with the 7-star raids, and I'm sure you can agree with this, don't want to be doing them for like too long. So the faster,
they're outrageous. They make me so angry.
The faster I can get in and beat the raid and collect my guy and then get out, the better. So, and not, it is cool. Like Scarlet and Violet, provide a lot of ways for you to like easily build a Pokemon and even retool that Pokemon if it isn't quite the right build or whatever. And that's great. But as far as like, I don't know that I want to like experiment all the time trying to find the like a good build for these raids myself. So yeah, I'll just look up what other people are having success with for stuff like that. But yeah, all the like for every game in the series at this point, just like mostly learn sets, particularly like if there's a move that a Pokemon learns before they evolve, that might be like beneficial. Like if a Pokemon doesn't learn like one of their better moves until, I don't know, maybe like 3 levels or so after the level they're supposed to evolve, you just hold off on like evolving them for a few levels, and then they learn the move, and then you evolve them, and then they're like so much more usable rather than waiting another, I don't know, 10 levels before they learn that move. I don't have like a specific example for you, but anything along those lines, I'm usually looking stuff up, but only for games that I've like played before. You know what I mean? I'm not usually looking anything up for like the first playthrough of a Pokemon game.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm pretty with you on most of that stuff. Life is pretty beautiful, but not beautiful enough to linger in a 7-star raid. Are you kidding me? Like, just untenable stuff. The first couple of them, especially, I feel like turned me off from the whole concept. But I did soldier through because of some people's very competent guides. I feel like it got to like almost like a point of triviality with them. Just like, I don't know, like in this vein, like definitely made me feel something, because it's like, I guess it was, not that there's anything wrong with this, but like I just felt interested about it. Like I was like, oh, this is pretty weird for a Pokemon game that this is like. I mean, it's a borderline an event. You know, like the events, they just give you something, and this is just like an event with an extra step. And my experience, I think it was like where it was like the most streamlined. I think there was like a Cinderace, or I wiped something out very easily, and it might have been Cinderace with a very particular Armor Rouge. Does this make sense? Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, so I feel like something along those lines. There's been some builds that people come up with for a handful of the 7-star raids that do absolutely trivialize them. That's a good way to put it, where you follow the order of operations based on the build, and as long as you do everything in order correctly, it's no big deal. And it is just like, it does boil down to just an extra step before effectively receiving what would have previously been a mystery gift. But I am still glad that like there is an amount of game here before you get the free thing, in quotes, I guess. Because I'm still doing the 7-star raids for what it's worth. I'm just not taking the time to experiment making builds myself, I guess.
Yeah, I liked they one that was like well after I was kind of in my main life cycle for Scarlet and Violet. They did one where it was like they actually gave you a Mew, and then you were like supposed to beat the Mewtwo with it.
That was a
That
big
was
one.
actually, yeah, that was like actually a captivating experience for me. Like that kind of like, I don't know, almost made me like feel something new, because like I couldn't just. I mean, so like you could like go in there with like your perfectly spec'd guy and like go to town on the Mewtwo, but I feel like they sort of outdid themselves with that one, as far as like a just like yeah, the order of operations, such a great way to put it, of the just like you do this, they do that, and then push comes to shove, you're gonna have you beat your guy beaten, and you're gonna get the ability patches or whatever. So them giving you the guy to fight with, oh, I thought that was superb. But
There was an extra puzzle element to the Mewtwo fight because you're right, you could have used whatever Pokemon you wanted, but if you did do it with the Mew, then you got the mightiest mark on that Mew. And so that, I think, provided an extra challenge and an extra puzzle. But then even that Mew, after enough time had passed, kind of got like solved. Like these kind of become solved games to a point. And the Mewtwo fight in particular, if you were trying to do it with the Mew, was so hard, and then the Mew that you needed to build was like pretty specific in order to succeed, that it almost felt like there was only one right answer with that Mew, as opposed to like having the options for like many potential solves for the puzzle of it. Instead, it was like there is pretty much just one successful build for this Mew for this fight, and if you don't bring it, then solo you're not going to beat it, but certainly online with other people you're just kind of going to throw with them, unfortunately.
Oh, you make a compelling argument. You kind of just tossed it out for me. I don't like it anymore. That's heartbreaking.
But
Because you're right.
But I really I enjoyed, like you said, that.
No, it's over. It's over. I don't want it anymore.
But I don't know. There was cool spectacle to it. There was a cool trailer for it. I remember right before.
That's true. That's true.
Right before it was implemented.
You're right. And we love trailers.
We love trailers. We love the way trailers make us feel, so they trick us into feeling that way when we're playing the game itself.
Exactly. I mean, I think that there's not even like an interpretation of like the Mew that is supposed to be different in any way, like, because it like I can say, like, you can say, it's like, yeah, you can do this with whoever, but it's like the mightiest mark, And then like the implication that I'm like talking around with the mightiest mark is like this raid is going to be 4 Mews, right? Because like everybody's a player character. If you do it by yourself and with NPCs, like I guess that would be different, but if you do it with NPCs, you will lose. And I don't like I guess you know, like let me ask you this. They had that problem with like the raids on Gen 8 pretty strongly. And I mean, I felt the same way on Gen 9. It's like, do they know? Like, do you think that they're like calculating that they're like raid NPCs or like essentially automatic losses? Like, that's the experience, right?
Not necessarily. You can solo raids, at least in Scarlet and Violet, and sometimes it's even preferred. And sometimes like depending on the NPC that you get, like if the raid boss is a physical attacker, then sometimes you want the NPCs to bring like intimidate Pokemon, or I think currently, as we're recording this, the 7-star raid that's currently happening is Metagross. And so I think the thing that people are bringing for that raid is an unaware Skeleturge, but the Metagross has Earthquake, so obviously that would be bad for Skeleturge. But if an NPC brings an Arboliva, and then that sets up grassy terrain to lessen the damage of Earthquake, then your Skeleturge suddenly isn't looking too bad. So some people, yeah, like it's dependent. There's a lot of the NPCs are useless, but there are some, at least, depending on the raid, that like can prove useful. And again, it's like you can go into an online raid with randos, and someone can be in there who doesn't know what they're doing, and unfortunately can kind of just lose the raid for everybody, and that's just as bad as an NPC that's useless, I guess.
I give them credit for like this is like a hard system, but I don't know. I usually I'm gonna say virtually always like leave feeling frustrated or maybe unfulfilled is like, you know, like I mean obviously I'm satisfied when I get that thing that I want, but like they really had it made with the Dynamax raids in Sword and Shield.
Yeah, I agree.
I guess you know it's not even like in the calculus that I'm doing here. It's the real time element that I think like, or the fake real time or whatever it is.
Right.
The unbeknownst way that the turns work, or at least like you know it feels like that to you. I'm sure that there's some rhyme or reason, but like I'm here with the control in my hands. It feels like nothing's happening. Arboliva over here is like spamming Worry Seed on the Metagross, hypothetically, and I'm just like why? Why did I turn on my Switch today? Why am I not playing Nintendogs? Like that's usually what I start thinking. But I don't know. This is a long walk to say. I don't even know how I feel about like the guides for these because I almost feel like I don't know. It would be a brief moment of infinitely higher satisfaction, but so brief I don't know if I would even care if I spec'd my own raid boss killer.
Sure.
And I do think because it was like this was like a stream thing when it happened. This was ages ago. I think it was like either the first or second raid they did was Charizard, and I spent a few hours like speculating in a Azumarill and seeing like oh we gotta have Play Rough on here because it's Dragon Charizard, and this is Azumarill's gotta be the perfect Pokemon. I've looked at all the options, Water, Fairy, it does everything right against this moveset, and I've got the documentation. And I built this on my own, and we did it. We finally did it. I was like, I don't know, gasping for air at certain points. There was a whole thing with that raid where huge power was glitched. That was a whole saga of freaking out at my Switch, but it did work, and I felt very, very good when we got it to work. I felt like I had beaten, like, I don't know, like an evil, impenetrable force hell-bent on making me have a bad time. And for like maybe say like an hour, I was having the time of my life. What a great feeling to beat that boss on my own terms. I think ultimately what kills this, and like it's like yeah, like I just go to and trivialize it after that, is like I'm a real person with like a real schedule. These are like, how long do they last? Because you're doing them. I don't know anything about this anymore. How long does the live event last? I think the live event is the ultimate issue with the trade-off, looking it up versus building it yourself.
Yeah, I mean, they typically last like 2 weekends. And there was one that happened. So for the Metagross, weekend 1 just passed as of the time that we're recording this. So weekend 2 is coming up. So like I didn't get to do it this first weekend. So like I got to do it this upcoming weekend if I want the Metagross. And, you know, I'm probably going to have time, but you never know what can come up. But yeah, like that's another part of it. Like I do really, I'm just going to take like the 20 to 30 minutes to like do the raid itself, like build whatever I need to build in the 5 minutes that it takes to build it, and then do the raid itself, get my Metagross. Maybe the raid takes a couple of tries because some of the builds that people come up with aren't totally foolproof, but that's fine. But yeah, I don't have, and I think a lot of people don't have like the day to theory craft and then experiment and build. And it would be probably quite a bit more satisfying to do it with your own build, but
it is. I mean, it's just wholly is. Like
yeah.
I think that's a fact. Like it feels good. These are worthy challenges when they're just on their face. Like I do think it's like an act of triumph when you beat a 7-star raid and you're like, I did, like that was me. I came up with that. So there's no doubt there. I completely agree with you. That's what I'm saying.
It is a bummer that like these end game super challenges are time limited in the way that like previous games, Battle Frontiers, the PWT, those are like you can approach them whenever you're ready.
I think that is I mean, I do them, but there's like maybe there's like an undue burden being placed by the live function, and like anything that's timed, I think is like, anything that is like real time, I think is probably going to incentivize you to look at the guide like pretty strongly.
Yeah,
and I don't know, it's like potential joy lost. Like you got Metagross, like. And Metagross
right.
and you will have fun for years to come. So
yeah, definitely not gonna like
not gonna cry about it. Like
not gonna rust away in the box forever, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, potentially. I fear. Potentially. Sorry, Metagross.
All of that to say, sometimes guides are good. Sometimes not following them means that you can, I don't know, you get maybe a bit more ownership over your experience, I guess.
Yeah. I guess I thought it was like, I thought it ran for weeks. I feel like a weekend, if you're like on your own, that kind of sucks. Like that is tough. I'm glad that people make the guides because I mean, for a while, like I think like, I don't know if this is the case anymore, but it was like, this is the way you got the Pokemon, right? Like the Mewtwo, that was Mewtwo. Like that's how you get Mewtwo. This is not like a special Mewtwo. This is the Mewtwo, and if you miss that window, hee ha ha.
Yeah. Then no Mewtwo for you. And for a bunch of the starters, absolutely before the DLC, and then anyone who didn't purchase the DLC, this is their only way to get a bunch of these starters.
I'm trying to like, I don't know. I feel like this is almost a notable exception. I mean, like it is like it's worthy to me to like, because I've thought this before. I feel like it's worthy to dissect, but like it kind of stands on its own. Like this is an exception when it comes. How many live events do they realistically have? Like I think they're very few and far between, even now. But especially like pre-Gen 6, there's virtually zero live events. Like
right.
Well, and you don't need a guide for the events. You either go to the GameStop or whatever and get them, or
you don't.
Sorry, you need the guide of the MapQuest directions to get to the GameStop, and probably a good guide.
Which is funny given how many YouTube videos are probably titled "How to Get Deoxys in Pokemon Emerald." Like, well, go to Toys R Us.
Yeah.
In 2005.
Okay.
Good luck.
Sounds good. I'll be there.
I'll be there with bells on.
So I am like uniquely stunned by the problem, I suppose. Not like a problem, but like the equation posed by the 7-star raids is not like indicative of my feelings about guides overall. I would say kind of in the very similar to what you were saying, but I guess with one major caveat is that like anything that is like cursory information, I'm all for. Like I will use like any and all cursory information I can get my hands on. But I am like very very much like experience focused, especially now more than ever. I think around like is it Gen 5 and Gen 7. I don't know what I was on during those gens. I really let myself ruin the games for me by just like looking up everything. And I've like it's something I've described before like in regards to their trailers, but like I don't know, it was like the watching let's plays to like go through the game is like, oh my goodness, what are you thinking? Like just play. It's Pokemon. How complicated could it possibly be? But when I was like, and this was like really, really little, but it was like second or third grade, my parents got me this little Pokédex hand guide, and there's no gameplay in there, none at all, and especially in the like the I think the big version of it, which I also have, has some gameplay tips in it, but the little version is just like a pocket Pokédex essentially, and there's also like there's like useful tables in there. Like I was looking at like the move chart. I loved egg moves. Egg moves were everything, and I mean, you can weigh in. I think I know the pretty simple answer to this is like, are egg moves and like the phenomenon of egg moves, especially like even like pre-switch, like, are they a weakness of like guide required gameplay? And I say no. I say no because it's like almost like encyclopedic information. Like you like Hoppip, so you go read about Hoppip, and there's like a in some capacity, whether it's on the computer in an actual guidebook, I don't know, you can get this information from a lot of different places. There's like encyclopedic knowledge about Hoppip that really only shows you like how to make your Hoppip. It doesn't like it does inform your experience, but it doesn't like control your experience as much as it gives you control of your experience. I don't know. Would you agree with that assessment of egg moves, like as a whole?
Yeah, I think if you're not using guides for something like designer Pokemon, I guess, I think when I was a kid and I learned that you could breed Pokemon, and then some of them would have like my Mudkip might have like Hydro Pump or something, or like Surf, or like my Torchic might have Flamethrower or something, like, oh, that's cool. And those aren't even necessarily like the egg moves that would appear in the list of egg moves in the guide. They're just kind of like a nice surprise of like, oh, I didn't realize that these level 5 babies could have access to these really, to what I assumed to be like exclusively high level moves. But no, and so like a large part, especially when I was playing Gen 4, was just like breeding level 5 Pokemon. Before I even knew that like Little Cup was a thing, I just really liked the idea of level 5 Pokemon with really cool moves. And a lot of that was experimenting, and a lot of it was like surprises, but certainly in my Gen 4 guidebook, absolutely. I would look up some of my Pokemon and see what potentially they could learn through egg moves that I never could have imagined. I think a thing that the games could maybe do better by way of the Pokedex is just have a section of a Pokemon's page, I guess, in the encyclopedia that tells you what egg group it's a part of, because otherwise you sort of have to like intuit like which Pokemon can actually successfully breed with each other. And there are 3 different water egg groups, and I think they're called Water 1, Water 2, and Water 3. So, yeah, like...
That's nonsense. What are they thinking?
Some of the fish can have eggs with each other. Some of them can't. Anyway, and then there's also the whole like Waylord and Skitty thing. So yeah, there's a few like pairings that I never would have anticipated unless I just happened to leave two Pokemon that I wanted to just simply gain levels at the same time in the daycare. And then lo and behold, I find an egg. But yeah, for the most part, anytime I was looking for something specific as far as like how to get an egg, and then also for egg moves, like if there was something that was new to me that I never would have guessed that I wanted one of my level 5s and then eventually level 1s to learn, was guides were necessary, I would say.
I feel like even like the egg move conundrum is such an interesting one, because like this is highly intricate knowledge in some cases, especially like with the intricacies of field groups. And then I mean, like something that was like, I feel like only more recently, not like in like the last month or a year or anything, but like stuff like egg move chaining and doing like combos in those ways, is like the encyclopedia doesn't tell you anything. Like a Pokédex guidebook, as far as I can recount, and I have quite a few at this point. I have a bunch just because I like flipping through them. In many facets, they are like art books for me now, although I still use them from time to time. They're not gonna tell you like it's like I think, because it was like a research project that I saw. It was an egg move calculator. Maybe we can link this if I can actually find it.
Totally.
But it was like they were engineering in this web of Pokemon and egg moves. Is like, how do we get this Pokemon with this complicated egg move in the fewest amount of chains? And there were some of them that were still 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was like Bulbasaur with Sludge in some generation. I really hope I'm remembering the right thing, because this is just be like lunatic rantings otherwise. But it was like, regardless of what it is, hypothetical Bulbasaur and Sludge, it takes 3 to get it on there successfully, because it's like parent A has to be chained over to field like to group 2. Group 2 then brings it to group 3, which is then the parent of Bulbasaur, finally. And like, so I feel like this only in even in some regards, like why I bring this up is like having the data of the egg moves. And it's like, like best case scenario, that's somehow presented to you in game. Like, but I don't know. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with, and especially the older games, is like, do we really want to spend like game space on what is essentially a glossary? Like, I do have to appreciate like the practical element of that as well. If it's like if it can fit in a spreadsheet, just put it in the manual, and that's a whole other can of worms of like what should be in the manual. But on that, I think we're absolutely going to get to. But like, this is like I say that it's cursory because like on one hand, it's like, and I did the exact same thing of like, I don't know, I remember very specifically, I was like on the school bus home, and I was just thrilled because it had said in the Pocket Pokédex that I could have like, I was like, I'm gonna get a Lapras with Horn Drill. And like, big things are gonna be happening when my Lapras has Horn Drill, okay? That's an unusual and obscure Pokemon, the likes of which my game has never seen. They're gonna love it. My opponents are gonna love it. This is gonna be amazing. I had to devise, like, I think that was like a 1 chain, I believe. Maybe Dugong. I don't know. Sorry, Pokey knowers. I wish I knew stuff like this off the top of my head. It was a 1 chain. You could get a Horn Drill onto there relatively simply. Maybe it was Rhydon or something. That sounds reliable.
Yeah, that sounds real.
Yeah, I say it's real now. It's Rhydon.
Yeah.
But like I had to like pick and find a suitable parent. There are like certain mechanics that I guess that's probably the worst part about it in this like specific avenue, is like all the complicated nonsense about like how stuff passes. I think could get genuinely frustrating of like, oh, the father does this, the mother does that. This is how Pokeballs work. This is how abilities work. This is how moves work. Fortunately, once you like, I learned those things once, I think it's like pretty back pocketable.
Yeah,
but
kind of transfers.
I will chalk that up to being like a legitimate weakness for like the first time player.
Sure.
But like, you have to come up with the parent. You have to come up with both parents. You have to come up with the situation, and then that's like just like that's the beginning of a Pokemon. Like that's like a sure you have I have my Lapras with Horndrill, but it's like effectively a blank slate. Like okay, now go use it. Like that is like I don't know, like getting like a hammer to go with my like saw and screwdriver. Like I feel like the world is merely opening when I get my hammer. It's the job of getting a hammer is I would happily take the guide. So really anything for me that like would allow me to have more fun, which I guess what I would consider like access to tools, anything was on the table. I was browsing the websites if I could. Whenever I got internet access, I was looking up how to catch new stuff and get new moves. That Pocket Pokédex specifically, I was like, it like showed me that a bunch of Pokespot Pokemon were in XD. It's my specific example, but it was like that's enriching. Like the getting the new tools. I don't like it's not Pokemon or tools, but it's like these are gameplay tools. It's like knowing that Hoppip is here is only going to elevate my experience. I could only be sad not knowing about Hoppip. So
right,
and it's not like Hoppip Quest either. Like I guess in that game like there's like specific intrigue there because it's like they show you the Lugia immediately and it's like how's this gonna work? But so maybe that like constitutes like robbing some fun from yourself. Not that I'm telling you how to play a game. Please always play a game the way you want. Don't get mad at me about this. I'm sorry, but like for I'm gonna say your bulk case like party members, moves, and non-essential to gameplay items. Like I don't know. I almost but perhaps you could leverage this as a weakness of Pokemon. It's like bring on the guides. The guides are fun. Even this is like this game works. A certain element of this game only works because the games are so encyclopedic, and they were cramming that information in there at the beginning. So like, you know, God forbid you got a little book on the side, as like maybe unfortunate as that is, but there's so many reliable mediums of information. And you know, one that we haven't talked about, and I noticed that you didn't write down in our notes before we did this, is like, what would you say about the playground guide, if you will? Like the playground guide's a pretty major component of it, of doing this as a kid and also like I don't know, like a social adult, right?
Sure. Yeah, you mean like the word of mouth, like tips and tricks?
Yeah. Like I have the feelings like I want to tell a good story. Oh, like, and I'm sure he got it from a guide, but my friend in middle school, I think this was like, this was in between Diamond and Pearl and Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Heart Gold and Soul Silver was soon to come out. Blew my mind. Just the existence of Rhyperior. Like he's like, let me show you something cool, and Droomish, you're gonna like this one, and he was right. He was right on the money. I had no idea about Rhyperior, and I was like, wow, that like pentagon looking shape has a purpose that is extremely cool. I'm like speechless at like I don't know, this like it's bringing me back to the moment of like I don't know, just like the having a friend like drop on you the existence of Rhyperior. Like I don't know, maybe you don't like Rhyperior, but it could be anything. Like can you just imagine the sheer existence of Rhyperior? And I was aghast. I only got that because of I don't know, the chain, the way that we talk about it, and that I think is fully intentional. I would wager that that's like something that they bank on when it comes to their design process. I don't know. Did that ever happen for you? Like I don't know. Like what was it with I don't know, in Capreo lands? Like did you have like a group of like I don't know. We didn't have like a huge group when I was growing up, but like I heard things every now and then. I mean, like I famously only like really got back into the games because I had that same friend and his younger sister made me super jealous, just like playing Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and I learned a lot about the games from them.
Mm-hmm. I think I remember someone in like a grade ahead of me. Maybe he had Spiritomb or something. And I think I remember him explaining like how he got Spiritomb and me not believing him because it sounded just incredibly far-fetched. Pardon the pun.
I don't know about this Spiritomb guy.
Mm-hmm. But he had Spiritomb and I didn't, so I was like, okay, well, maybe you're onto something. I don't know, because
does the story have a happy ending?
I don't remember. Like I don't.
That's so sad.
I don't think I fell victim to like him. I don't know, breeding 100 Spiritombs to trade for the rest of our Palkias and Dialgas. You know what I mean? I don't think that took place, thankfully.
Okay.
Or same thing with like, same thing could have happened with maybe Rotom, you know what I mean? But I remember getting a guide from the Scholastic Book Fair. I got the 10th anniversary collector's edition complete Pokedex.
A great read.
With over 380 Pokemon. I loved it. I have it beside me as we speak. And that was my Bible forever. And I read it cover to cover. And I never had a GameCube. I never had Coliseum and XD. So like I would see some Pokemon were obtainable in those games from like a specific trainer. And I was like, what the hell does that even mean? A bunch of the like mythicals would say like only obtainable at a physical distribution. And I'm in Eastern Canada. Those didn't happen here.
What does that mean? Like,
what physical distribution? What are you talking about? Yeah. So, but I loved it, and I loved like learning a lot of like what Pokemon was and how a lot of them, I would have learned how most of them evolved through that, because there's a lot of like particular evolutions, whether that's like trade items or friendship evolutions or whatever, that I never would have without a guide, I think, figured out. And then, yeah, I don't know, but I was like the only one in my class, I remember, who like got the guide. And so like I remember I remember asking my friends trivia basically and being like, do you know what type Azurill is? And like showing them a picture, and they're like, well, it's blue, it's probably a water type. And I would go, it's a normal type. Read a book. Thinking I was so clever, like, gotcha, it's a normal type. You never would have guessed it. And I felt
think you should have had a guide. Like,
well,
you were misusing your power.
I had the keys to the castle, and I was like abusing it, basically, because I forked over the money to get the Prima.
Wow, this is terrible news. I hope they're all okay. I hope they didn't grow up to be like horrifically stunted people because of your Azurill incident.
They're all doomed. Yeah, no, don't look into it. Anyway, all of that to say, like I had this guide very early into, because Emerald was my first game, and so very into like playing through my first game. And granted, this was not a guide that like helped you get through the story of the game. It was effectively just a Pokédex, like your pocket book. So it taught me more about like the Pokemon and not how to beat the game, which I think I appreciated, because I even still to this day appreciate like experiencing the story of a game myself and not looking up like how to go about the events of the story and how to get from point A to point B. But yeah, like you say, for cursory knowledge, I think guides are incredibly effective and often improve the experience, because they provide just information So you can make decisions to build the team of Pokemon that you're the most excited about and is more fun to use.
Yeah, I think like I don't know, maybe this is like an odd thing to tie to games, but like any information that creates agency, I think is ultimately positive, and any information that removes agency is like I view as potentially negative. Like in like that agency or like going through the game is like a really personal controlled experience. Like that's your agency, but the way that me and Hoppip, me like that's all me. I just want to rock with Hoppip. So like that information is super welcome because it lets me enjoy the game the best. And I guess if you I don't know, just want to see the sights and that's like you enjoying the game the best, then sure. I just think I guess those two lenses feel important to me as far as like what guides should constitute.
Mm-hmm.
And which I guess is probably a good like a connector to the next thing that like I wanted to ask you about it is like so I don't so like in regards to like you get agency or give agency is like so like when first of all when was the first time you needed a guide like where is if that even happened maybe you're the god of Pokemon and if Pokemon God 227 wants to write in and say I'm terrible at games for the story that I'm about to tell because it's pretty bad. Feel free, but when was the first time like it happened to you? Because I think it's fair to say that Pokemon misses sometimes in this regard. Like I can think of a handful where it's like okay, like I get it. I'm gonna go look it up.
Mm-hmm. I think I have the guide for Diamond and Pearl. I think I remember it has maps in the guide for pretty much every area in the game. I think I remember reading that guide for the first time to like help me get through a section of story in Victory Road. I remember getting stuck in Victory Road and Diamond and Pearl, and then because for the most part I had been using my Diamond and Pearl guide effectively just like a Pokedex, just to see the moves that my guys would learn as they leveled and how to evolve specific guides. But this I think was the first time that like I was genuinely stuck. I felt like I tried everything that I could, and lo and behold, I had this book that had the answer for me to let me keep going. So I read it. Yeah. For the most part, I don't do that for many games anymore. Even if I am stuck for a while, I really try to like sit with it and kind of figure it out. But yeah, I think for the Diamond and Pearl Victory Road was like the first time I was like stuck and turned to the guide.
I feel like that's better than me.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. I like, and this is even like dumb. Like the first. This is just like, this is completely on me. I think there's like a handful of cases like in the games where it's just like, I don't know. It's almost like a guide is essential. I know that's like a topic of debate these days. It was like wiki games. You've heard of the wiki game? Like I'd pretty safely call Terraria a wiki game. Like I just don't think you can enjoy it to its full extent without a wiki, and it's like can be grating in some ways. I think through sheer amount of volume, while not like egregious, Pokemon has like say more wiki game like tendencies as of late. I think there is less of what? Maybe not less. I'm not looking for a less. There's just more, and like there's more things that you could want,
Mm-hmm.
and in like a world, I don't think that there's ever going to be like like a seamless way to do as many handholds as not like holding your hand, but like places to put your hands when it comes to getting the things that you won.
Sure.
I spent a lot of time in Scarlet and Violet just being lost, and I wonder if that was like the point or not.
Sure.
But sometimes that was fun, sometimes that was not fun.
Sure.
But anyways, you know, I'm way ahead of myself on this. I mean, the first time I can really remember it, and I didn't even use it was like had my dad use a guide for me, was just like and I do think this is in that realm. I just could not beat the Leaf Green Elite Four. I did not know everything else had been possible before then. I could not beat the Leaf Green Elite Four, and I was flabbergasted. These levels are so high. My team is suddenly feeling really bad. What did I go wrong? There's nowhere else to go. I understand the concept of my Versus Seeker and how that's supposed to work, but it just doesn't feel tenable. I'm in like a 7-8-year-old kid with no concept of like macro time. This is like a point where it's like, you know, there's like a point in your life where it's like you don't even have like the sense to know what grinding is. And I feel like that's like, especially like any game that is like, even if it's not like to be like consumed by kids, and it's not like a maturity thing, but it's like, I feel like games have to appreciate like in regards to the grind. And it's like, you know, like I like the grind in games, but like something I gotta give a point to for like the grind naysayers, it's like there was a pretty real point in my life where I had like memory and like agency, where it's like I don't have enough experience as an alive person where the grind is like a concept that even makes sense. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. You get to a point where you're like, I'm where I'm supposed to be, and so far me and my team have been able to surpass every obstacle in front of us until now. And no matter how many times I try and retry and retry and retry, nothing is different anymore. And yeah, no, and even if you do like think, yeah, I guess I could use the Versus Seeker, or I could go back to Victory Road and knock out Gravelers forever. That's not fun. So instead you think,
it's like, what?
Well, just instead you think like, I must be doing something wrong.
Yeah. And it's like the reason, and so like I don't know, the answer, the I guess like straightforward answer like to myself, like looking back, is like, oh, like just go run around on that one route with 1,000 trainers by Fuchsia City and just use the Versus Seeker until it gets better, because I would do that in later playthroughs and I'm like 13, 14, 15. But like I really want to appreciate like now that it was like I try to remember really strongly as like informing like my opinions about like these games and like the ways that games should work, was like that was not something that could like logically dawn on me. Like I, of course, like I had like gone to school, and it's like I understood like, you know, like a long hard day, like you go to school from like the morning to afternoon or whatever, like work, I guess, was a concept that made sense. But like in Pokemon, and it was like also at the time, I don't know, this is a weird system my parents had, but like most of the time I was allowed to play for an hour a day tops. And if I was really good and I like picked up sticks and put them in the stick pile for the wood chipper machine that would come, I would get an extra 10 minutes, but I had to do a ton of stick picking up. And like my concept of time, I guess, like for like maybe like a more like general example, like I hadn't done anything in school like akin to research yet, or like I don't know, like I guess I had done like stuff like times tables or something, but this is a very loose concept of like the amount of time that like my brain is telling me that it is going to take to go back and fix this problem is like,
it's astronomical.
Yes, it's like bigger than life itself.
Yeah,
because I'm in 3rd grade and like I can't fix this problem. It it will take 100 of me's. It will take
yeah.
ages to fix this problem. Like, and it ended up being like a total mental hurdle where I was just like, I have to, like, I'm just gonna smash into Lorelei as many times as I can, and it never worked until the workaround that my dad ended up finding was Dragonite. And I had a Dragonair in my box, and I was like, this thing never evolves. Again, because of the concept of time. Like, I got in Dragonair up till, like, level 40, and I was like, it's useless. It's level 40, and it's not evolved yet. You're terrible. You only know Thunder Wave and Slam. What a bad Pokemon. And he's like, well, let's go a little bit farther. I'm reading something pretty interesting here about your dragon guy. And once I got Dragonite, that was game. That was like he got me Dragonite. And I know that this is totally like intersectional with like the cursory information thing that I was talking about, because it's like, yeah, like I guess if I had gone like 2 layers deep instead of just 1, it's like, oh, I have this super strong guy actually, like I have a lurking legend in my box right now. I just need to tap into that. But I was also assisted with the time that it took to get Dragonite. I know that this isn't really what we're like talking about. I guess it could be its own episode. Write in if you want me to talk about all my thoughts on the grind when it comes to games.
This episode of Petalburg Woods is brought to you by Silphco. Have you ever been lost deep in a dark cave surrounded by wild Pokemon with no idea how to escape? Well, worry no longer, because escape you shall with the all-new Escape Rope. The brilliant minds at Silphco have developed a new, seemingly magical item called the Escape Rope, which allows you to instantly teleport to the entrance of the cave you're in. No more backtracking, no more wasting repels, and no more whiting out, only with the Escape Rope. Find yours today at any Pokemart in the region for the low, low price of 550 Pokedollars. Use code Petalburg to buy one, get one free. Thanks again to the fine folks at Silphco for sponsoring today's episode. Now, back to the show.
You know, I'm an adult. I talk to adults. But it's like, even for complex games, it's like, I want to like give considerations for... especially with Pokemon, it's like, you know, not just a kid, like not somebody who doesn't get it. I'm not saying it's like you're a kid, but it's like you have not physically experienced enough existence in your lifetime to like, I don't like we have fundamentally different concepts of time. Like like an hour of work in game to me is just different to someone who is that much younger than me, and it was so different. Like I have such a high tolerance for the grind now. I don't know, but it makes it and I always come back to Pokemon with this, because it's like it's famously fun for all ages, right? Like, and I attach it to like the guide, so to speak, because it's like this is when you're robbed of that agency. Like. There was probably, like, we could point to some things along the way about how me getting to the Elite Four with an underleveled team was my own fault. Now, I was using, I think, I was beating Lorelei with Zapdos, but I couldn't get farther than Agatha just relying on Zapdos. I was little. I had Zapdos and a Master Ball. Like, there's probably some answers to this problem, like, outside of this.
Yeah.
But, like...
No, I mean, my first playthrough, I had Articuno and a Master Ball. I'm right there with you.
Classic. It's a really complicated question to answer, I would say, but it is like, I don't know, when you get to the end of the road in a game and like the answer is grind, like, I don't know. I get, for me, I have to say that's a weakness. I have to say that's, especially if it's up against like a game that is like otherwise being enjoyed by single digit ages.
Yeah. I remember too, when I was younger, not understanding how a lot of the items worked. I didn't know what vitamins did. I didn't know what any of the X items did. It was basically just like potions and Pokeballs were like the extent of my like grasp on items. But otherwise, like anything that would have been useful, going up against any of the Elite Four and using X items to set up would not have been a single consideration.
Actually, and I'm gonna totally out myself again. Another terrible story. Because but now that this isn't like secret or anything, I was streaming it. I'm in the exact same situation with Colosseum right now, and I'm essentially playing Colosseum like, I don't know, with like the innocence of a child. I never finished it when I was little because I got XD and I started playing XD because I like the way that it looks slightly more. I have played to the end of Colosseum and have realized that I have made some key errors along the way because I was just let's call it just some key errors, okay?
Sure.
We don't have to dissect my terrible playthrough of Colosseum. But in my defense, I was just playing it, okay? I was just going through the game. Like, I'm catching Pokemon, and I fought the guys in the story. I'm at the next point in the story, and I went to the guide. And the guide said, good luck. Like, so maybe this isn't even in the realm of good lucks. And if you've gotten to the end of Colosseum, or you're, like, even vaguely aware of that speedrun, I think you'll know the difficulties that I'm talking about. But like there is some disconnect here in the communication between the game, the guide, and the player. Like I'm having a hard time like directly encapsulating what it is, but like I guess I'm kind of getting like a secondary feeling that it's like, okay, you made me feel really good about the game the entire time. And what I'm now understanding is that I should have been using the game, the guide the entire time. I was not playing this game right. If I get to this end game point, because the situation in Colosseum, I should have said that first, is the same as it was in Leaf Green. You get up to a boss rush, essentially, and it's hard as nails. You just need to have a really high level team, and I'm at it with 40s up against 50s. It's just not working. But I think this is the point I was looking for. It has convinced me that this was a guide game in hindsight. Does that make sense?
Sure. Once you reached the point that, like, you realized that the guide would have made sense.
Yeah, like, I thought everything was fine.
Sure.
Up until now.
Because nothing in the game had, like, posed enough of a threat that you felt like you needed help.
Yeah, and, like, in that contrast, like, it convinces you I must be doing something wrong because the game has been tenable up until this point.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm like picking on difficulty spikes here, but like I do think that there is a pretty big interaction that like happens with the concept of guides. I guess depending on like your flavor of choosing to partake in them. Like I do think this ultimately interacts with the guide, even though like yes, I'm picking on difficulty spikes, but like the guide has a role in this and like the way that they supplement information to you.
I mean, you had mentioned like had you followed the guide to a T the entire playthrough rather than just like once you got stuck seeing what it had to say. I don't know. I don't know about you. I've never followed a guide to a T. Like,
never have I either.
No, and it's like I don't know that anyone has. I mean, Papa C has an entire series of YouTube videos following guides for Pokemon games to a T, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I think those videos are fascinating because none of us have done that. So it's just really interesting to see like how a writer of a guide is like figures the best way to play these games is, and also like I'm not playing a game to do it the way that someone else did it and wrote about doing it, right? That seems insane.
I think so. I don't want to speak for too many people. Well, I don't know. It's this is our show. That's crazy, folks. That's crazy.
Is that fun? Is it fun to follow a guide to a T and roll credits and say, yes, I did that?
I'm gonna give some credit to Pokemon's post games. Like if you need like I mean, I had it down to a science at a certain point, but like I loved Pearl's post game. I would re-roll Pearl just to do all the like the silly stuff you could do in the post game. And I mean, it became borderline speedrun for me, and I don't know. I did not have a super healthy relationship with these games. I maybe enjoyed them a little too much. Some doctors might say I enjoyed Pokemon Pearl a little bit too much, but I mean, it was like almost scientific the way I would move through the pregame, the main story, so that I could just like, I don't know, lather in the post game. I loved going to New Moon Island. I loved looking for Cresselia. I loved the underground in the post game. I loved the route to the right of the Pokemon League. I loved the Poke Radar, and I loved getting to re-roll all those things. So like, but it's like, I don't know, like if somebody told me about Poke Radar, for instance, and that was like something like I have started. I'm just touching shiny hunting just the tiniest bit right now, and like, you know, somebody told me it's like, oh, like, but you got to beat the game to get Poke Radar. That would be a good time, I think. Like, it's like I don't know, maybe even like a speed run guide. It's like I got to rip through this game because I just want to play Poke Radar.
Sure, I see what you're saying, like a means to an end type of guide.
Yeah, but I think you're completely right. I mean,
But that's you're only doing that after you've already played the game once, like yourself. Right?
I would hope so. I don't know. I'm you know, let us know if you're the person who just does not give a shit about Pokemon Diamond and Pearl and Platinum. You just want to use the Poke Radar or any other equivalent like thing.
Yeah.
That does sound like wacky, but like I can't say that it doesn't sound impossible.
No, I think like a modern day version of that is like someone not giving a shit about Legends Arceus, but wanting to use an Enamorus for competitive, and probably
that's
following a guide to like get through that game as fast as possible. Yeah. Okay. So there's a world then of like almost like a pseudo speed run that is purely just a means to an end, get through a game for the sake of like acquiring something, but not to experience the game.
Yeah, I think that Pokemon is like a unique one for this like analysis, because while it does have, I mean, generally pretty rich stories that I think are worth experiencing, Pokemon is like, I guess, weird in that regard, that it has like a lot of like pseudo tangible assets. Like an Emrys is a really big one right now. That special Ursaluna was a really big one.
Yep.
I would say the Battle Frontier is like a pseudo asset that you might, plenty of people would want way more than going through the story of Emerald. Like that's a totally reasonable desire. Okay, so yeah, this is like, I don't know, the maybe the most desired purpose of a guide. This is the guide's best friend, is the person who is just, they are just ambling for Poke Radar or whatever other thing it is. Okay. All right. I feel like we sort of talked ourselves into that, but I'm totally with it now.
Yeah, we found a use case.
Yeah. That's good. And I guess, like, I don't know, that's sort of it connected to another thing that I wanted to ask about this, or maybe that we're already like living inside of at this point, is, so first, when in your experience or just like assessment of a game, it can even be like as an expert, I'm really curious to what you think is like, so because you said you got stuck at Victory Road in Pearl, and I have an answer for this as well. But when do you think is like the first time? And I think it's important that it's the first time. When is the first time that a guide is required for general player of a game? So like going chronologically, when is the first time that it's like I don't know, they did not succeed in the pathing, and a guide is required?
Probably,
in your opinion.
Yeah. Like it depends on the goal of the person playing. So if they're just playing through a game to roll credits, I don't think you ever really need to touch a guide. Sometimes you'll get stuck in certain areas the way I got stuck in Victory Road. But I think guides, I started kind of really paying attention, I think, when I wanted to catch specific Pokemon, particularly any that had some like pretty specific requirements, is when I think
like who?
Like the Reggies in Generation 3. I don't even think
that was what I was gonna say. Actually, yeah. Well, not that you need it, but I was the Reggies I wanted to talk about specifically.
Totally.
Please continue.
Well, yeah, I don't know that I even knew that they existed. Nothing in the game really indicated that they were a thing. I don't remember specifics, but I might have like dove into that cave that like basically unlocks their 3 chambers, you know what I mean? But I absolutely would not have had a Wailord and a Relicanth in the specific slots of my party in order for those doors to open. And I absolutely was not reading the Braille on the screen that I couldn't even touch with my finger if I even knew how to read Braille. But even like I wasn't, these were just dots. I don't think I was like 12 years old. I didn't know what Braille was.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like Wailord, Relicanth. You're way ahead of the game. Like, what's Braille, guys? What are these dots? That's cool.
the Reggie puzzle, while with hindsight, I think it is really cool, also is not a puzzle I think reasonably a person, certainly a kid. Maybe I'm not giving kids of the early 2000s enough credit, but I don't know. I don't know about you, but like that was never going to happen organically. And it also didn't happen from a paper book. The first time I ever got the Reggies in a Generation 3 game was from watching a YouTube video, probably in like 2010.
Yeah. Well, I find this to be such an interesting example because, like, I don't know, maybe there's somebody out there who you're not giving enough credit to. I think that person is rare. But like the at least one version, and I know this is like a did you know Pokemon thing that somebody's gonna lambaste me for, but at least one of the 1.0 Ruby and Sapphire versions, like one of the regions, just came with a Braille guide. It had an insert for how to read these puzzles. So it's like a guide was forced into the game, and I feel like the context of why, like the presented context of why that's in there would be so interesting, because it's like you open Pokemon Ruby and you're like, awesome. Why Braille? Like, why Braille? What's going on? Is this gonna be a Braille game? Like, just like, I don't know. It was really like, I guess like it makes you really curious. My version did not have that. I had like the version that I got came with like the e-reader insert, which was really cool, but another day. That's definitely a thing for another day. Everybody loves the e-reader.
But then why would they have like omitted the Braille guide from the version of the game that you got? Because your version still had the Braille puzzle.
I don't know. It was a thing. It was a thing. I'm sure some historian could illuminate it for us, but I didn't get it in my game.
I don't remember. I mean, I definitely remember like reading the backs of boxes and like on the drive home after getting the game, opening up the case and reading a bit of the manual, and then, inevitably it would go back in the case and I wouldn't touch it again as soon as I was finally able to like play whatever game for the first time. You know what I mean? I just remember most of the manuals for the games had like the pretty basic stuff for like controls and what the buttons did in the menus and stuff, and very little actual like practical, what I would say is like guide material. And this is just based on my memory. I could not be giving these manuals enough credit, but yeah, they were manuals for the most part were just like artwork and manuals. They were just like instructions on how the game functioned, but not how to actually progress in the game.
Okay, I have consulted the text. I just think this is really interesting, but also like to your point, a Braille chart was included as an insert with Japanese and Australian copies. So Japanese and Australian games got it. And then it was in the instruction booklet of European copies of Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, Fire Red, and Leaf Green. The instruction booklet included in North American copies does not have the chart, instead recommending that players contact Nintendo for help.
Wow.
But the Nintendo Power and Prima game guidebooks do have a Braille chart.
Okay, interesting. So so there could have been like a business deal there where, I don't know, maybe Prima got like in an effort to like make their book more valuable or something, got Nintendo of America not to include the Braille guide in the manual, so instead it made the Prima guide more valuable and maybe they would sell more. I have no idea.
I don't know. I don't love that, but the whole thing was really cool. It was like in association with like a Braille association. Like,
yeah,
they did it with like
the New Zealand Braille Association or something. They're in the credits for the Gen 3 games.
Which I think is really cool that they decided to go out on a limb like that, but like because of the insert included, like I guess to like, I don't know, be pedantic about my own question, it's like they said they need a guide. They said like the guide is required. We think we did something really cool, and I'll even give them points for like doing something that's kind of cultural and educational. Like I think that's like there's a bit of an excuse there, but it's like they themselves like, we made it, you need a guide. So I'm gonna give it to the Reggies as the first, like, maybe like in I don't know, I'm like misusing the definition of my own question, but like you needed a guide. Like 99%, the average Joe required a guide, and it would, and who knows, yeah, like you were saying, who knows why it wasn't in the NA copies, but it's like, and they gave it to you, so that's like super duper fair. Like they got you involved with it.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about like how many kids learned Braille because of the Reggie puzzle.
I was I don't know Braille, but I was like getting into it, and it was like, yeah, this is, my mom thought it was really cool. She was very surprised. I mean, like with like a lot of things, like I don't know, she like, I feel like I've told you this before, but she like is like, as me, was like, where did you learn the word chlorophyll? Like, why are you asking me what chlorophyll means in like first grade? And I'm like, well, that's because Blossom has chlorophyll. Maybe you can tell me more about it. And it's like the same thing. It's like, why are you? What is Braille? Like, what is Braille to you? Why do you need to know about that? And she's like perplexed and is like rubbing her temples. It's like, where do you come up with these things? Like, how do you possibly have a need for Braille? I was like, Mom, the puzzle. Like, I need the sealed chamber, please.
I need the 3 titans, please. You don't understand.
Tell me about the 3 titans in the sealed chamber, please.
I need the 3 Reginalds,
I'm desperate. I think beyond that though, and that's like, it's such like a legend. It's a legendary case in the like the extent of like, I don't know, like the real world. Like they did something really, really cool with that.
And it was so convoluted, like the actual events that needed to transpire in order for you to get the Reggies. And they were along the lines of like, of what were lies, what were like myths for the games prior. And like there would have been guides in quotes for fake ways to get like Mew under the truck or whatever, right? And those would have been like similar to your playground guides, the like
misinformation,
the misinformation word of mouth, certainly. But I mean that wasn't strictly word of mouth. I watched plenty of like fake YouTube videos, again, around the same time as like when I was learning about the Reggies, that were also, you know, this was how to get like Mew in the Generation 3 games. And it was fully fake. You know, I remember this might have even come from one of my friends, or it might have come from a YouTube video. In an Emerald, if you beat the champion 10 times and then went to the Moss Deep space station, you could go and you could go to the moon and catch Deoxys.
I heard Jirachi, but like,
Okay.
yeah,
But
one of
also
those two.
there was the White
But it's the
Rock in
same thing
Moss
though.
Deep, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That was for
These
Jirachi.
are the playground guides of our time.
Yeah, but these were also YouTube videos that people made that were just fully lying.
Full lies. I watched like it was like a mini series of fakes of like how to get Yuxi, Azelf, and Mesprit in Fire Red and Leaf Green. I
Oh
was
my god.
okay, yeah, that sounds good to me. And they
Yeah,
were like
sign me up.
intricately made like deep fakes of I guess it was like somebody spriting like it was like a mapping project somebody had done. I was like, this is awesome. I can't wait to try it myself.
Yeah.
Like
And you would go through all of the steps. You know why? Because the one that you did for the Reggies worked. And it was as convoluted, if not more so. And it worked. So then that almost gave like credit to like the rest of the fake ones.
the Reggie's is good. I think it is ultimately positive. I want to give credit to well, this is negative credit. This is bad credit.
Bad credit, okay.
Watch out, Johto fans, because I've got something bad to say.
Uh-oh.
The Gen 2 heads. It wasn't me, but my friend got stuck, and I think it is very fair that he got stuck at the I'm gonna call it like the Mahogany Town choke point.
Yeah.
I think, while not absolutely requiring a guide, I think the game. So like a guide requiring situation, and I think something they learned from ultimately is when the story gives you maybe too much agency. There's like 4 events, once you beat Mahogany Town, presumably like you have like 7 badges, and then you go do the rocket thing. Like that's the context for this.
Yes.
And he had no idea how to get the rocket thing to happen.
Yeah.
And there's this just super obnoxious guy in Mahogany Town. You want to go to the next town. There's a guy there. He's even more annoying in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, who is like he's a roadblock, and his thing is essentially he's like, hey, I know you want to go this way, but I'm an asshole. Go a different way. And
Do you want to buy a Rage candy bar?
yeah, you want to buy a candy bar, and even if you do, hey, you're an asshole.
I'm still not going to let you pass. Yeah, even if you do buy one.
This is awesome. And there's like, I want to say, I know that this is an amount that was changed for some reason in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, but there's like 4-ish independent event flags that contribute to you being able to move forward in this instance. Because there's like, you have access to 4 gyms at the same time, the Red Gyarados mini event, and then the Rocket mini event that comes after that. So I guess there is like some chaining to that.
Sure. But you do have to leave Mahogany Town at some point and go somewhere pretty specific.
Yeah. So, well, I don't think that that's like a guide essential moment. That is one that comes to mind. It's sort of an unusual case where it's like, okay, like you gave us too much freedom. You gave us too much freedom because like, and I've been in that situation. I mean, I was in that situation watching him as a kid, and then like as an adult, like on like Heart Gold and Soul Silver, I was like, oh, which one of these things did I miss? Like I know. Clearly, based on how this guy is behaving, I know enough now to know that like I'm missing something. Which one of the things am I missing? And it's like, I guess I mean there's a fair amount of pathing in this, but you can do it in any order, which I think is like the only like hard lock is the order of the badges on the trainer card, because like you can fight Price pretty early, like way you don't have to do Price 7th.
No, you can do Price, I think 5th if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Before Chuck and Jasmine, yeah.
The weakness here, though, and I think something like his like dialogue is like slightly fixed in the remakes, or maybe even Crystal, but it's like the NPC that blocks you, he is the guide requiring element. He is like I dare say even this specific NPC is one of the biggest problems with Gold and Silver as like a player first experience. No, it is because you have this big choke point that is the product of like 5 different other choke points, and the guy who checks the choke point says, "Hey man, I'm an asshole." Like,
right. Doesn't
what
give
are you
you
gonna do about it?
any indication. Sure.
And the change that I noticed, because I was very intent on these roadblocks recently, is he's still very flavored to the point of being unhelpful, but is like, you should go and see the sights of Johto, and he lists the locations where interesting things happen. He says go to the Lake of Rage, go to the lighthouse, go to the medicine place, I think, at Cyanwood City. So it's like slightly more helpful, but also like just the way that this adversary is presented to you. And I'm bringing him up as like my example for all of this is like Pokemon, I think, sometimes bungles their adversaries where it almost like encourages you to go look it up. If it's like if it's like a logical thing like this, is like, well, I don't know what to do. I guess I'm gonna go look it up, and then there's like backtracking associated with that. So not a guide, a hard requirement, but it's like I'm gonna call this very guide likely, guide high chance of guide occurring with this guy. And some other guys like it. Some other, like, things you don't know is, like I think with the Roblox is specifically, it's, like, often because of their insistence on role-playing, you're asking yourself, is like, okay, is this a lock on somewhere that I need to go to later? Like, is this, like, a level cap lock where it's, like, I'm 30 and the guys behind here are 60 and they're telling me to go somewhere else? Or is this a direct call to action here? Like, am I supposed to do? Is this my next obstacle? I don't know. I can try and figure it out. But this is like this is again, I think, encouragement to like, I'm gonna go look it up because this is getting obnoxious. And for me, on the first playthrough, the Mahogany Town guy passes the obnoxiousness threshold where I usually would. I looked it up until I remembered it, which sucks. But I don't know. I mean, is there anything like that? Like,
yep.
For you?
Absolutely.
Are there guys like that?
Absolutely. Every time I play Diamond and Pearl, or even now with the remakes BDSP, I never remember where to find the TM for defog. Or HM, I guess. And it's because I never go into the Great Marsh. But that's where there's a guy in the Great Marsh that you need to talk to, a random guy. And he's by the door, at least, but you still need to go into the Great Marsh, you know? And so that's it. But, you know, and you don't need defog to make it to Celestic Town?
Need it. You don't need it.
You don't need it, but boy, howdy, does it make a big difference. So I usually like, I'll stop and then I'll go up. There's that cemetery tower south of Selacion. Right? I think in Platinum, that is where defog is. I think
it's still strength.
Okay, so I end up misremembering the entire thing.
Well, yeah,
but
I agree with you. While it's like a minor thing, this is like defog is not required, but it's a gigantic quality of life indicator.
Absolutely.
Because I always think I don't need defog. I'm not putting defog on my award-winning Star Raptor. Like, that's a useless move for babies. And Star Raptor is close combat, fly, like quick attack, wing attack for life. Okay,
yeah.
I'm not getting rid of one of these awesome moves for
defog.
Defog? Are you kidding me? And then I go to that. You go to the route. There's fog everywhere, and I'm like, I can't do this game anymore. I have just like the game has been turned off on that fog route for me so many times, and it's like I'm gonna do this later.
Yeah. And it's all because I didn't go into the Great Marsh and talk to one random guy.
I think also I'm really leaning into like subtleties and context, but it's like you are almost led away from the Great Marsh in the main story.
Absolutely, because there's the whole thing with the grunt.
Right, exactly.
And
you go to
completely
the
takes
gym.
like the spotlight.
Yeah, you go to the gym, or like you're like led to the gym.
Yes.
Like you're there for the gym at least.
Yep.
And then the grunt.
Yep.
And then you leave.
And then you leave. In fact, the grunt leaves, and you follow the grunt.
And
I'm not going to the Great Marsh when there's a Team Galactic grunt that I gotta hunt down.
Who just blew it up? Like you beat the gym, and then he's like, oh, I'll go to the Great Marsh after the gym. It's like he just blew it up.
I think they might have addressed this in Platinum. I think.
It's so hard with this stuff.
It's been a minute. I know, and like this is the thing about these games. They're so similar, but like the third versions in particular, like often change and improve parts of the story and the experience because of likely issues with the first games.
Minutia like this is totally in view in the third games. Like
Yeah,
way more often than I think it's appreciated.
yeah. But because of like my memory of like just the Sinnoh games in general is like often like Mandela affected because of the small changes between Diamond and Pearl and
Mm-hmm.
Platinum, and that has happened throughout the games that have third versions or even remakes, like stuff that'll be in I don't know stuff that'll be in Ruby and Sapphire that like is or isn't in the remakes. Anyway, um where the hell were we? On guides. You were talking about the Rage Candy Bar guy.
Well, yeah, it's like I think there's they this is something I would give them, I guess, slightly more credit about in more recent games, but like I would say they have a lot of near misses when it comes to guide requiring moments because of obtuse dialogue, like obtuse in-game dialogue that is like more focused on like character writing than sometimes more focused on character writing than it is on getting you where you need to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say like I'm gonna come out and say that that's like one of their biggest weaknesses. Like overall, even like this is a problem that ends up involving guides, but like their dedication sometimes to like I don't know making like an angry old man when like you need to do something, you need to do an event flag to get him to move, is like when this line is really blurry for me. I think it's like the one standout moment. Other than that, like I feel pretty good about their like I don't know delivery of information, whether it's hard or soft. But there are individuals who can like I don't know at least confuse at least like confuse more than just like the game itself. It's like it becomes like a where the hell do I go type of thing.
Yeah, there are as much as I feel like I have these games on lock and I know them like the back of my hand. Every game has a moment of fuck, I forget what I'm supposed to do next, and it's it's not. I've I like I figured it out the first time I did it, and I don't feel the need to like figure it out again. So yeah, I'm just gonna look up where to go next to save time, basically.
Yeah. I was there
Um,
with XD pretty
mm,
recently. There's more fetching than I remember in those GameCube games of like go to the specific place to get the event to work or like get the door to like you got to talk to this guy to get the door to open and the guy's in like another town or something.
in a specific order, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that big time my first time through XD, and I was like, boy howdy, they're getting me to go all over the place to
Mhm.
and anyway, when you do go for a guide, you have access to some books, but there are also some very handy websites. Is there one that you gravitate towards?
When I was really little, the I mean this is like I mean this is like borderline old internet territory. Like I mean the look of don't hate me for pronouncing this the way that my mind remembers it. The look of Cerebi or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It really captivated me as a kid. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
pretty good. I think now I don't even know. I do often I struggle it out pretty often. Um, Not with the main Pokemon games. I am like especially because like I like grew up with this process. I'm especially partial to the like to my paperback guides now because of Mystery Dungeon actually because
Mm.
that game and that game had a lot of split pathing and like certain dungeons would open up other certain dungeons and this dungeon is a key for this dungeon and you need to have done both two. You need to have done dungeon A, you need to do dungeon A to unlock dungeon B. However, to unlock dungeon D, B and C need to be opened and C is a product of dungeon E. And there's some really great flowcharts in those guides, and I thought the information was very well organized. I mean, like, I say that, but it was just like, oh, I get it now. Like, I know what I need to do. Like, the story is manageable. So I do. The only issue with that is, like, I don't know. They're like expensive collector's items now. Like, I do gravitate towards them. It's my favorite thing to have, especially the pocketbooks in my hands. But I don't. I'm missing a couple because, like, XD's Fire Red and Leaf Greens. Those are all particularly expensive as far as, like, I don't know, like a paperback book goes. It's kind of torn up because you flip through it. I'm also partial to them because of the art. They're art books, if nothing else. And I do think for intricate stuff, like one thing that I was just completely unhappy with, like, looking at there, two things actually, was like the Heart Gold and Soul Silver bug catching contest. It was like, this, I'm really in the weeds. I'm really in the weeds with this stuff. I ended up going to, like, it was like a website dedicated to it, and I was like cross-referencing Bulbapedia with, like, forums and, like, testimonies, essentially. I guess, nothing's ever going to be wrong with a healthy mix when it comes to information, but, like, I think my searches these days are that is not just like a move set. That's probably gonna come from Bulbapedia if I'm on my phone. If I'm at my desk, it'll be the Pocket Pokédex. But like, I am such a sucker for these, like, dedicated websites to individual mechanics. Like a Munchlax calculator is just peak to me. Like, something like that specifically is wonderful. Oh, and then, like, because I was on there a lot and I recommend it to you as well. Like, the Smogon guides, the Smogon forums, and, like, recommendation posts for the Battle Frontier, fascinating reads, suggestions, and history. Also, like, it's kind of an all-in-one. I don't know. So it's yeah. What about you? That was a lot of stuff, but
No, it's good. I used paper guides. Like I said earlier, I like my main one was like my Bible for what felt like forever, but was probably only about a year, because it was like the amount of time that I was playing Gen 3, and then Gen 4 I got the book for Diamond and Pearl, and both of those books together were how I got, like, the bulk of my information. And then one day I was at my friend's house and we were at the computer, and I forget what prompted us to, like, look something up on Google or whatever, but lo and behold, we found Cerebi.net, and that broke our minds. We couldn't believe how much information was just, like, on this website. And also, yeah, the, like, visually, Cerebi at the time was, like, very striking. And it's cool that Joe has, like, maintained, like, the look of Cerebi, maybe to the detriment of, like, the user experience, but I don't know, for, like, the vibe, it's cool that Cerebi still looks the way it looks. But yeah, I think finding Cerebi when we were kids was like, it blew my mind. And then Cerebi has basically been my, like, browser homepage for since then. So at this point, I will, like, go back to my, like, paperback books effectively just for the novelty at this point, and just for, like, the nostalgia hit. Because I read them so much as a kid, but now it's all Cerebi, it's all Bulbapedia. You actually got me on, like, the Bulbapedia train more than anyone. And so yeah, I kind of use.
I just love.
I feel like I use both
open source,
like, evenly. Yeah, totally.
I love that it's like a community project ultimately.
And you've even gotten to contribute to it, which is awesome.
Yeah, just a tiny bit, but I'm on there, folks.
Yeah,
watch out for me and my associates.
If you want to learn anything about the wireless adapter mini games in Fire Red and Leaf Green.
Yeah, no biggie, no biggie.
So yeah, I have my books, like, they move with me from apartment to apartment, but after I move, they set up shop on a shelf, and I rarely take them down, unfortunately. Maybe that'll change. Maybe after this talk, let's be real. It's not gonna. They're gonna go back on the shelf, and I'm gonna keep Google searching what I need to find out. And I do a lot of that on my phone too, just on, I don't know, various websites. Because yeah, most of the stuff again that I'm looking up is just like moveset stuff at this point. Really, I do a lot of like team building for like games or like runs that I want to do of games, and I'll come up with my team of 6, and I'll figure out the moves for the most part that I want them to have, and maybe the best way for them to get those moves. And so yeah, I do a lot of like searching for that purpose nowadays. Yeah, but I love a real book still for I don't know, the nostalgia of it, I guess.
I would say, I don't know, the age of the guide is the age of the physical guide is definitely long gone now that there's like significant mechanical patches happening. Like there's like updates to the game that actually like move sets get changed in between updates, and it makes sense that I've never seen a Scarlet and Violet guidebook at the store. I remember I was very like, I was so happy that I got it, and then I got frustrated, and I was like, what do I expect? But it's like, my grandparents got me as like a gift with the game. I think somebody upsold them at GameStop, but I was so happy. They gave me it was like a Smash 4. It was a Smash 4, so like Wii U 3DS. It was like, I mean, you barely call it a guidebook as much it was as it was just all this cursory information. It was like damage data for all the moves.
Wow.
And but it got patched. The stuff's like it's hardly accurate anymore. But when it came out, I was like, this is so cool because it's like it's move data on every character. And there's some other stuff in here, but that is so cool. And I loved looking at the charts. I loved, like, I don't know, trying to assess characters just based off of these pages. But the patches and the games being in like an open update state. I mean, of course, the guy it's like yeah, we've got a wiki or like a website that changes with it, but I think the landscape has fundamentally changed as well. I mean, I don't think like story beats are getting patched or anything. Like, probably not. But like, I don't know, something that like I haven't gotten to. I mean, it's a form of this is like, I feel like I know Scarlet and Violet pretty well. I played it a decent amount. I don't know anything about the DLC. I still haven't gotten to the second one, and I'm like halfway through the first one, and that is like a game addition. That is story beats being patched in, and there's mechanical changes associated with those coming with it. And ultimately, and I guess this is like, I guess the final thing I think we should leave it on. It's like, I just say this like completely contextually, like to the current day. It's like, yes, I would love it if I could live without a guide. Like if I could make it through these games, specifically talking about Pokemon, I want to be able to play without a guide. I like having like a Pokédex, quote unquote, open next to me while I'm playing. But I think that for better or for worse, as a result of like both a changing landscape and like even more control in some situations, makes me like less apprehensive than ever to like at least look up where I'm stuck. And I think that's totally fine because of just like, I don't know. I guess there's probably everybody has a threshold, but like
totally. I think whether or not the game itself does a good enough job of like indicating or conveying what you're supposed to do in order to succeed. Like for Scarlet and Violet, I looked up where to find the stakes for the Treasures of Ruin. Absolutely, because there is no way in game to keep track of any. You get like one marker. You get one single use marker for your whole map. You can't leave stamps or anything. Like they had that for the map in Legends Arceus, and that just is non-existent in Scarlet and Violet. So yeah, if I can't tell just in my in my main story playthrough of the game where I already found a handful of stakes, I'm not gonna like retread a bunch of the same area and likely not find anything. So yeah, just that was definitely like a means to an end guide for me, where I just wanted to catch those 4 Pokemon, and I did not have the patience, nor did the game have the conveyance to make it so I wanted to find all of the stakes like organically. Similar thing
they tease you just enough though, right? Like you find a stake, or you find the door by itself, and like
you find the door.
You got teased just enough to like it's like, well, I want to do it now.
Yeah,
I want to do this whole thing. It's like you get shown just enough to know that it exists, and then like that surrounding information was like you didn't have the tools to make that meaningful to yourself.
And I think similarly evolving Gimmighoul into Goldango. Once I don't know if anything in the game, I can't remember if anything in the game like tells you how Gimmighoul evolves, but certainly YouTube videos did, because I think one of the biggest, Scarlet and Violet guide videos at the time was how to evolve a Gimmighoul into a Goldango, and that video would have included like an efficient route to take to go from tower to tower to beat up Gimmighoul and also collect however many coins from doing so you could eventually reach 999 to evolve your guy into the cheese string mascot.
I was pretty proud of myself with that one. I knew you needed a bunch of that. I underestimated how many you needed. It was like I got into like 300, 400. And I was like, still not evolving. It was a classic Dragonair situation. I was still not evolving. Where's the Gimmighoul? And then Austin John plays on the mic. Here's how you evolve Gimmighoul, folks.
Yep.
Like
the goat.
I'm so glad you brought up the stakes though, because I would have been so upset if I didn't mention this. So like. It was with all of our friends, actually. It would be I'm so surprised we haven't told you this story before, but we like resolved together to, even though it was obnoxious, I completely agree, it was obnoxious as you're saying. It was the 4 of us, and so we got four gamers, and we resolved as a group we are not going to look up anything regarding the stakes, and we are going to figure it out as a team. And I think this is like, I guess the final note I would like to make is that I think ultimately, experientially, a group of people who are like in it together will trump the guide. Like, it will, like, you will be able to, enough minds come together and you will be to overcome the obtuse. And we had like, I don't know, we had like an organizational system where if somebody found a stake, the other 3 would then come to them, and we would check off stakes the same, and we made sure that we had like overlap and stuff. And like I saw Tinglu for the first time on stream, and that was like that was another moment that I was speechless. Getting to hear the music for the first time, getting to see this freaky abomination for the first time after like mostly figuring out this issue by ourselves was infinitely satisfying, and I am holding that with me. Like I am so glad that we did not look it up, but we had to like concoct a network to make it work.
Yeah, my experience was very like utilitarian. Yours, however, became this like wonderful memory, but you had to like
exactly. But it was only possible because I found 3 other people, and there was this other guy who was like, we did get some information from like an outsider, but he was very much in it with us, and but you got to get people who are in it with you. I think just like as far as games go, like single player, multiplayer, people who are in it with you are always going to beat a guide for me.
Totally.
Like you're going to get something special out of that for one, but it's like y'all come together and we can rationalize this. There's gonna be enough perspective in there. Hopefully. That was, I don't know, like I think just that experience and then like comparing it to the Reggies, I think in like raw complexity, much less than the Reggies, honestly.
Yep. Absolutely.
I was really pleased with the experience, and I totally understand people who are just like looking it up because it's like, oh, like this is you get to a point and it's like this is pretty obviously like the non-box legendaries.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's like get some friends. Like that's a crazy thing to tell someone as advice about like game enjoyment. So I hope that for everyone. But it's like it is like this is like a complicated intersection of games. Like I think this whole process thrives on community, and like while a guide, it's like a different type of guide that I like cannot recommend enough for the experience. And it does get the games done. Ask your friends, get them to play the same games as you. I know that y'all are like that with there's the Blueprints book club sort of, and it's like that's so cool to watch because you're not using guides.
I think the Blueprints example is interesting. I think because, and not to harp on it for too long, but there are different amounts of experience in that game, and it is tricky to talk about it with other people without you or them potentially like spoiling the experience for one or the other. But with your steak example, all of you were working towards a common goal, and that to me feels like the best case scenario.
Not to mention, I think something that is like this is like such a like it's like such like an underscore of what they actually did here. Like the union rooms are fantastic, but not just because like you can go in your person's world, but it's like because you can do this. That's why that is like the pillar that makes the new union rooms good. That you can actually, because it's like it was like what they were experimenting with in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee is like I am actually playing the game with my friend. It's like I don't see you fighting Tinglu right now because it's like that isn't loaded into my game, but it's like we can examine the same spots at the same time in engine, and that is yeah, it does.
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
That's my right way. I think that's how you should do it, folks.
Play with friends.
Yeah, like I don't know, talk about at least talk like try to talk about it with other people. I mean, there's like Discord, Reddit, Smogon, like I'm my advice to you is not get friends, but it's like there is like the Pokemon experience is like it's like a real thing that exists. Like every launch cycle is like a thing that happens. Like it's something tangible that you can grab onto. Is like we're all playing the same game and having so much fun. Like you can talk about you can just hash it out with strangers in the YouTube comments. I know I get lots of that. Or you can build like completely new friendships on like a I don't know like maybe on Twitch. I don't know. I don't know, not to be weird, but it's like I don't know, like you can like the Dynamax rates, like all this stuff is like it's like I highly appreciate their emphasis on co-op as of late. It's one of the things I will like scream their praises for. Is like yes, because Pokemon was always supposed to be friends and family. Like this is always how it was supposed to be. So that's my right way. What do you think?
I mean, kind of depends on the thing that you're trying to figure out or the thing that you're stuck on, I guess. Like if you're just looking for information, I'd like, read a book, read a Prima guide, go to Bulbapedia, Cerebi, whatever. Use the Munchlax calculator. These are all just tools to improve your experience, and there's nothing wrong with that. For maybe more like experiential stuff, then crowdsourcing, sharing your experience with others is maybe the play.
I think that I guess it's like a rule of thumb. I think you should establish is like how far am I comfortable going, and like do not break that rule. Like try to come up with a metric for that. And I think like that was like what I told myself after Sun and Moon, where I was like, I will never break this rule ever again. And I have felt pretty good about that ever since.
Yeah, I don't want to look anything up the very first time that I play something, but a repeat playthroughs, it is purely just
go
for
time.
Just to save time and make sure that I'm informed, I guess.
Sounds like a plan.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, well, all right, folks. That's all we got for you this time in the Petalburg Woods. Thanks for joining us. You can find us outside of the forest as well. Me, Droomish, I'm on YouTube, of course, and we're both streaming on Twitch at Droomish _ and at Capreo _ Please let us know what you thought of this episode by leaving a review. If you're on YouTube, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, even do all that good stuff. Hit the good buttons, no matter where you're listening to us. And until next time, leave your repels at home and come visit us in the Petalburg Woods. See you later, folks.
See ya.
Petalburg Woods is hosted by Droomish and Capreo and produced by Girl Luigi. The theme music is by Capreo, and additional artwork is by Mo Paint Stuff. Let us know where you'd like to visit in the Pokémon Universe next. Email us at petalburgpod@gmail.com. And until then, leave your super repels at home and come visit us in the Petalburg Woods. See ya!